with Robyn. Robyn's been with us for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, working with Phil Pope
Yeah.
along the coast here and loving it.
I am loving it, yeah.
So what got you into real estate to start with?
I was in healthcare prior to this, and I did love my role in emergency nursing, but
Yeah,
I
stressful.
had, but I had a gut feeling that I'd like to try sales, and although there was an opportunity to do that in medicine, I was really quite happy to give real estate a go. So living in Doubleview, Davey Real Estate was just around the corner.
Yeah.
Walked into you guys and was given that opportunity, so I grabbed it with both hands.
And if I can fill some gaps in there, because you
Yeah.
started in pro-management.
Yes, I
if you
did.
remember. And you were great at that, but then the calling for sales came thick and fast. And what I saw in you was your organisational skills and your communication skills, which I think are two really important traits for a real estate person.
Yeah.
Have you found you've been using those skills recently?
Definitely, yeah. I do think that I am, in my own personal life, a little bit of a clean freak per se. Not that I have any judgment on how everyone else kind of presents themselves or presents their homes, but I feel like my personal kind of natural traits overflow into how I work and how I practice. And with working in, certainly in healthcare prior, communication is a natural asset I think that you have to have, and that's
Strong.
really
It's
helped.
really important.
Yeah, of course.
And we'll probably touch on that a little bit later about the importance of communication with clients. So as we mentioned, I don't know if I did, working from Trigg up to Sorrento with Phil.
Yeah.
Great area to be working in.
It's amazing.
And what is it about those areas that you love about working in there?
Yeah, of course, by being by the coast. I was brought up on the coast. My parents actually built their house that I've been in since I was about 5 years old on a natural harbour in the north of Scotland. So we can see, the ocean from all of the front windows of our house. So I've got quite a strong affinity for that.
Yeah.
Fishermen in the family, and being by the sea is just, a very, very strong love of mine. So I think even when I'm driving to work from Doubleview, where I'm staying at the moment, if I can take the coastal route, I always will, because I love just being by the water.
Does someone in your car question why you take the longest route to get somewhere but it goes past the coast?
Yeah, I think, of course, they would be thinking we've got somewhere to be. If you want to take the coast, then that's on your own kind of time scale. But I think anyone that knows me will know that that's always the direction I'm going to take.
Yeah, I'm the same. So you love working on the coast, you love the views. What about the people in the community? Have you found anything particular about that community that you've been working in?
Yeah, I find the communities that run in that suburbs that we're working in quite salt of the earth type of people, which I really like. I'm from a small town originally, so there's quite a lovely kind of camaraderie that comes with that. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to find when you're not, going by my accent, you can tell, of course, that I'm not a local. I've not been born and brought up here. So to have people around you that have a really lovely community feel, and they all kind of wrap their arms around each other in good and bad times, is something that I really resonate with, and I love that.
Feels familiar for you then.
Yeah.
Have you been to other cities in your travels? I've never asked you this, but...
Yeah, I lived in Sydney actually originally. So that was our first point of call when we arrived in Australia. Typically lived in Bondi, in North Bondi, most backpackers do when they first land over. And I love it. And I still have such a strong positive opinion of Sydney, especially the real estate there. It's unbelievable on that Bondi to Coogee walk. But the kind of lifestyle out with my work was not as flexible and as free as it has been living in Perth.
I was going to ask whether there was how you found the sense of community over there compared to here, but Bondi is probably a little... Well, it's very touristy, obviously.
Very.
So you don't get that same connection, perhaps. But it's not like Sydney, is it? It's its own little world.
It is. They call it the Bondi Bubble. So essentially people just stayed there. They didn't leave. They didn't have to. I worked in King's Cross, so that was a bit of a contrast, which was needed, I'd say. So I worked in the emergency department in King's Cross at the time. So it gave me a bit of a taste of everything.
That. If you didn't, I was going to say something.
Can you imagine? My past life is all coming out.
Well, you certainly would be busy in emergency in King's Cross. You would see everything.
We did see everything. And especially I loved, once a year they had the Pride parade through King's Cross, and the wonderful colours and the sparkles that would be across the emergency department on that night was fab. So
you'd be busy, I imagine.
Very busy, but good company and good crack, I'd say.
So what's your favourite thing about working in the suburb?
Yeah, I think it does come back to the people ultimately. And I think that there is also so much room for development within these suburbs too. I have had, the luxury of being able to work in Sorrento a little bit as well. And I know that Aura, the development that's coming on there, has been a little bit of a point of conflict for some of the locals naturally, because it's
just living nearby and overshadowing.
Yeah, and of course that's going to be the case in the views that have been potentially obstructed by that. And when the scaffold is up and all the black cladding and all that, it does seem a little bit more overbearing. But looking at the design and what's to come, it's going to blend in really, really well with the coast. So it's quite exciting. And Kayla's Hospitality Group taking on the hospitality floor there will be amazing. Yeah. So, of course, they've got so many fabulous venues as it is. Yeah. Really excited to see what they're going to put into that hospitality floor. But they're keeping those cards close to their chest at the minute.
That will be exciting, I think, for the community.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like I drove past the east side of it the other day. I hadn't done that since it went up. Yeah. And I'm quite impressed with how it looks. It's not an eyesore at all, I don't think.
I agree.
Obviously, if your view's been blocked and you have no longer ocean view, that's not great.
Definitely. You can totally sympathise with those people and you get that, it's a totally understandable frustration. That said, hopefully the hospitality side of things that comes with it will be a bit of a silver lining.
I think there's, I think the suburb can support it. There's the extra traffic. I don't think we'll really notice too much.
Hopefully
anyway.
not. Hopefully not.
Most people there, I think, are generally a bit an older generation. They're not going to go too far. They're just going to be walking around there and going down the beach. And
why would you need a car anyway?
No, well, that's right.
Stay there all the time.
There's no need to leave.
No.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
So what sort of buyer are you seeing moving into there? And is there a change in demographic? Well, I was talking to Phil earlier about the change we've seen over the years from beach houses to these multi-million-dollar beautiful homes. Are you seeing a change in demographic into the area, or is it what type of people are coming in?
Yeah, I think that is the beauty of these coastal suburbs. Of course, there are the streets that are closer to the waterline that have higher asking prices like everywhere in the rest of the world. But if you want to get into the coast and into that kind of coastal corridor, there is opportunity there because there's so many different types of dwelling.
True. Yeah.
And it's great to have these lovely multi-million-dollar properties, and I appreciate those for what they are, but there is also beauty in buying something that maybe not be your first preference and making that your own, and there's opportunity there in those suburbs. So I think it is quite a good mix. It is very much still family, I think, demographic, but there's retirees, there's young professionals, and the opportunity is there if you find it, if you look for it. But I know it's hard and it's slim pickings at the moment with the market.
A lot of people just move in there and never leave, I think, too. So when I lived we were one of the first houses in Sorrento to be built, especially in that near Sacred Heart area. But south of that, there's some very, very old properties in there, and they're still there. Those beach shacks are from the 60s and 70s. It's kind of wild to see still that there's these old beach shacks surrounded by multi-million-dollar properties, which I think is quite unique, but it's drying up quite quick.
It is, and it's very conflicting as well. I think it depends on who you're working with and who you're speaking to. Some people absolutely love the older style homes and the natural flora and fauna that comes with that, but then others are just wanting a clean slate and to start again, and it's great that there's the opportunity to do both.
Yeah, so you're not always selling real estate, so outside of that, what are you doing?
Yeah, I like to keep active. You can usually find me in a wine bar with friends on a Friday or Saturday night if I get the chance.
Yeah. Any favourites? You going to call anyone out?
Of course, Salt and Oak there in North Beach is fab. And I do think that there's a new kind of wine bar coming to Hillary's.
Oh. Okay.
Susie's, I believe, is the name of it. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And then where I live, there's the Corner Dairy. Yeah. Gosh, I could go on.
Yes.
I like them all.
You should have your own podcast on the best wine bars in the northern suburbs.
Yeah, well, I could.
there's an idea. Let's do that.
Yeah. And then beyond that, I've actually started my own personal little side venture at the moment. I love reading and I enjoy kind of podcasts and that type of thing.
Yes.
Any kind of self-development books, that type. So I've started a book club called the Late Night Library. So
you've started it?
Yeah.
Oh, how did that come about?
Well, I found that a lot of the book clubs I was joining was reading things about romantic novels and fictional pieces. Yeah. Which I have time for, especially beach reads. But I really love reading kind of biographies, books on finance, books on business, and I don't find that I have a lot of people to talk to about that. So I thought, well, why not try and start our own. So we've sold out our first evening actually.
You've sold out?
Yeah, so
what?
It's great. We've sold out
What's
our
it called?
tickets. It's called the Late Night Library. Yeah.
And where do you meet?
We're going to meet, this time it's going to be in the courtyard of St. Bridget's Bar.
Yes.
And then after that, hopefully, we've had conversations with Brighton down in Scarborough and potentially Salt and Oak. There's going to be a few others that I'll reach out to see if we can change up the location every month.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
And so anyone else involved in this venture with you?
No, I've got great support with my friends, of course. So there'll be the guinea pigs. There's a few of them coming that'll be supportive. But no, I've just kind of taken it on my own accord.
Oh, lovely. Well done.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it.
I think you should do a podcast on that.
And wine bars.
Yeah, that's right. Both. We've got two.
Yeah, it's a good combination.
So your morning routine, are you a coffee person, walk, gym? What do you do in your normal routine?
Yes, I would love to be a sunrise person, but I'm definitely more a sunset person. You'll find me out and about doing my bits more so after hours than before. Yeah. So for me, it's coffee. Yeah. First, if I can get a beach walk in, then great. But otherwise, you'll see me doing all that types of things after work.
So no morning coffee club for you?
No.
Or book club?
Book clubs will not be prior to 5 p.m.
What's the one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
I think potentially it's a bit of an embarrassing one. We touched on this before, but the town that I'm from used to have a herring queen announced every year.
I love this. I
had
to forgotten
find my mum's Facebook for a picture. Yeah. So I think that was my mum's profile picture for a good few years there on Facebook at one stage.
As you're talking right now, I'm hoping that we've got that picture and it's just being displayed for everyone to see.
I'll have to find it. Yeah. Debbie will be so proud. So back in the kind of, I think, early wartime, the town that I'm from was the biggest herring port in Europe.
Yes.
So they used to announce a herring queen yearly just to mark the prosperity of the town and to recognise the women that were in the industry. That then changed into being a gala queen. So essentially you put your little tiara on and going back on a boat, on a trailer and get trailed around the town to raise charity. And in 2016 I was the gala queen at home. So at the time it was kind of a little bit, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm going to bring this up again. But my dad did say this should be your passport photo. So
yeah, that's right. 2016. So have you worn a tiara since?
I don't think I have, no.
Do you miss that?
No.
I thought every girl wanted to wear a tiara. Is that just
tick that box. Tick that box.
You've done it. That's true. Okay. I'm sure you're somebody's princess somewhere.
I keep trying.
Now, it's difficult being in real estate. Just difficult in life, really. Yeah. Just existing sometimes.
I know.
So do you have any mentors that you look up to?
Yes, obviously I've got the luxury of working alongside Phil, which has been a godsend for me, coming in with experience in other industries, working alongside and under someone that has got such a wealth of knowledge and experience has been totally invaluable. And I'd recommend the same to anyone that wants to change industries. If you can learn from someone that has got a wealth of knowledge in that field and you get the luxury of doing that, then grab that with both hands.
That's a good point, actually.
But beyond that, in my kind of personal content that I like to absorb would be a girl called Grace Beverley. She is a British female entrepreneur, and I followed her from when she was back studying in uni to present day. She's done tremendous things and really supports other females in business and is a great kind of source of influence. So I would say if anyone would like some inspiration and positive mentality, then her accounts are one to follow.
Liz Beverley?
Grace
Beverley.
Yeah.
There we go. That's a good tip. So what's her work? What does she do for work?
So she studied, I believe, in Cambridge back in the day, which is one of her most esteemed kind of universities. And she was start of the vlogging era, essentially. Oh, wow. So she started vlogging along with a lot of others on YouTube, doing a lot of fitness content. Started a brand called Shreddy, I think, which is kind of about wellness and fitness, and then clothing line. And now she actually has a podcast called Working Hard, which she gets other really, really amazing entrepreneurs on to talk to. So she's done really, really well.
Well, there you go. I've learned something about you. You're way more entrepreneurial than I had assumed. There we go. You want to reach over and slap me, don't you? So what's one tip that you would give someone that's thinking about selling their property?
I think that at the moment there are lots and lots of agents competing for the same listings, and of course that then becomes a great position for a seller, because you've got quite the pick of the bunch, and there's a lot of really good agents out there. So I think that my advice to sellers would be, of course, with fees, that can sway you in one direction or the other. And, you know, if you've got an agent that you have a good rapport with, hopefully there's always a conversation to be had there. But my advice would be, this is going to potentially be one of the biggest transactions of your life. And, you know, at times for people it is their largest asset. So when you are picking an agent, you can be in that with them for the next few months. So just to make sure that you've got a really good relationship there. Of course, fees are really important, and their approach to that, and if you align with that, then great. But those are all things that can have a conversation around. But if you get on well with their personality, then I think that is a stronger point of difference, because you're going to be with this person through a really big emotional transaction in your life.
How do you think someone would find out, their personality? Because real estate agents, some of them are pretty good at pulling the wool over the eyes. I think we're pretty well known for being pretty transparent, and things like this give people good insights into what our personalities are like. But how can the average punter, people are busy.
Of course.
You know, is it attending home opens, looking at reviews?
Yeah, a bit of that. And I know that, as you say, people are very, very busy, so they don't have the time, realistically, to do that. What we're doing here today, trying to build our social platforms, I think is a great asset to many agents. A lot of real estate agent socials become very heavy on what's just been listed, what's just been sold, and that's brilliant because it gives you credentials as to your role as an agent. But, you know, if you can try and have a little look, even as you're scrolling on their socials, you'll see quite quickly what they align with, what their values are. And I also do think, genuinely, in my personal life, I know quite quickly as to whether that I get on with someone, you know, irrespective of the dialogue that comes after the fact, unless it's quite outlandish, you know, within a few minutes whether or not you've got a good connection with someone. So try and lean into that as well. So first impressions are really important. But if you feel like you've got a good attachment there, then you should run with it.
I was having chats earlier about this similar topic, and I reckon the difference between a good agent and a really good one is in that moment where they could accept an offer. And we use the example of, say, 1.9. There was an offer on the table, 1.9, client was happy. Agent knew there was more potentially in the market. That's when you know you've got a good agent. They end up getting 2.2 or 2.3.
Yeah, I remember the one you're talking about.
They're asking, they will talk about the fees, the difference of $5,000 or $10,000.
Yes.
But then there's the difference of $300,000.
Of course.
The fee doesn't matter.
Absolutely not.
The price that you appraise the property doesn't even matter.
Yes.
And I would love a way of a client knowing how to find that out about someone. Our team, we've got things like this, people can tell, but how does someone else find out? Have you got any advice about that? Maybe it is what you talked about. The interview process is pretty important though, isn't it? That first meeting.
It is hugely important. And I do think even, we try to give evidence to that effect to our clients when we're pitching our proposal to them. So we will take in those examples of, this was the appraised price, because we always want to give a logical figure, not necessarily romantic, because we can all do that. And as you say, pull the wool over someone's eyes and get them to sign a contract. And then it's an awkward conversation if you want to renegotiate from that point. But my conscience couldn't cope very well with that. I really, really don't think I'd sleep very well at night, because if I've promised something, you're not promising anything per se, but if you've pitched to someone that this is a realistic figure that we feel like we can achieve for you, and the marketing is not coming to that effect, and you know quite quickly that it's genuinely not worth that in your heart of hearts, then I wouldn't go in on that foot, because I couldn't sleep very well. And I know that maybe, I don't know, I can't speak on behalf of my competitors, but others, it's kind of renowned that can happen.
I don't think some of them give two hoots.
No,
they
maybe
sleep
not.
very well, but
maybe not.
That's what is a little bit disappointing.
It is a little bit disappointing, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I think when it comes down to point of a percentage, and that being $5,000 to $10,000, but you have the capacity to engage an agent that could potentially get you another few $100,000 over the top of that, then that just becomes change in your back pocket. So,
100%. That's good. So, in a similar vein, what do you think is the biggest mistake sellers make?
I think exactly that. I think having an offer put under their nose really, really, really early in the campaign, and it being quite attractive and being on the healthier side of what they were expecting, and signing off on that offer before testing the rest of the market. Of course, if it's an offer which is well exceeding what you had anticipated to receive, and you and your agent are on the same page to say, this is quite outlandish, we're probably not going to get anything like this from testing the market, then you can sign off on that in confidence. But like that example, you know, we had a seller that was willing to sign off at 1.9 early on in the piece. You know, we gave reason and evidence as to why they should continue to test the market, and it went under offer for over 300,000, more than that in the end.
That's wild.
It is wild. It is wild. But then at the same time, we're representing the seller. So we're going to give you our advice. We're going to give you what we think and what we would personally do. But it's your house and it's your decision to make. So we'll support you in whatever it is that you want to decide. That's
good advice. I also, the market now supports that argument, but I do remember a while ago, it's a long while ago, when the market was different, the market was declining, and we often saw the first offer was the best offer. It used to be a catchphrase. First offer is always the best offer.
Yeah, and that was exactly what that lady had in her experience.
Yeah. Well, if they haven't sold for 10 years.
That was her exact motto.
You pounced on it. And we would often be frustrated because a client would want to keep it on the market. And it's just interesting. I think that's a good point you make. I think people have got that history.
Yeah.
The last time they sold,
absolutely,
it was a different market. And there is not a huge amount of risk, you got to say, in not accepting the first offer because the market still is increasing. As we've talked about, the next 12 months, we think the market's going to continue to increase. So they can be a little bit more hesitant. But at the same time, the green-eyed monster does come out in our owners sometimes and sellers.
Yeah, of course. But and on that vein, I think it's true to say as well, a lot of the properties that Phil and I are so lucky to look after, you know, they're in quite a high price point. So therefore, you know, in my own experience, first home buyer, you're counting your pennies quite closely and the rest of it, and you've got patience, you've got time, and you're not too concerned personally. Others may not view it in that light. But when people are dealing with multi-million-dollar transactions, not always, but these people are usually quite straight shooters, and you can expect that what they're putting forward to you, there's always a conversation around where it's going to land, but you can generally expect that they're putting their best foot forward on a lot of occasions, and you don't want to mess people around either. So you kind of have to respect your buyers too.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the best thing for you about selling real estate?
I think the people, of course. I know that that's a really generic answer, but honestly, I think it's the people. I love being in front of people. Being behind a desk in an office is not my forte. I can do it, but I struggle with being kind of behind closed doors. I love being outside, socialising with people. It kind of gives me more energy and a bit more of a boost. So the community that comes from working alongside different sellers and buyers in the process has been really valuable to me, and I love that.
Are you a good networker?
I try to be, maybe a bit chatty, but
that's part of networking, isn't it?
Yeah, I try to be. I think as well it's important to kind of know who you're contending with as well. If you can speak to as many different people as possible, then you have a bit of a better gauge for what your unique selling point is. It's easy for us to all fall into the same category and use all the buzzwords that a lot of people do in sales, but I do think it is important to try and keep a little bit of your own personality and your own kind of point of difference if you can, because it's kind of hard at times to try and not fit the mold, but try not to do that.
Oh, that's a good point. I think, stay true to yourself. I think your uniqueness, and I think our team in general, their own uniqueness is their strength, and you don't want to fall into that trap of just being a robot.
Yes.
And I don't think that's going to be you, to
Hopefully
be honest.
not. Keep me in the wine bars.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Find you. You know where to find you.
I'll not finish that sentence.
So you've just sold a property for a client, given them the good news. Are you a high fiver, a hugger, or a handshake type of person?
I think it depends on the person on the other side of the table. I think I can read them hopefully well enough to know whether or not to lean into which of those. But I'm open to any.
Into a hug?
Yeah, I can do.
You've done the hugs?
I've done the hugs.
The high fives?
I've done the high fives. Maybe back in my sporty days, not so much anymore. But I mean, sure, if that's what floats your boat, then sure. But I can lean into it all. Yeah.
All the above.
Yeah.
Love it.